Michael Kingdom Come Deliverance creator says his RPG series only exists because he was pissed at the lack of historical games. Alex Raisbeck over at Games Radar, creator of Kingdom Come Deliverance, Daniel Vavra, has stated that the reason the game came to be was because he was pissed at the lack of historical games. It's not exactly uncommon for games to take inspiration from history. Settings for fantasy games are often based on medieval Europe, while games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls see you exploring castles to fight knights and soldiers who wouldn't have looked out of place in the Middle Ages. 2018's Kingdom Come Deliverance was different. However, in that it forages the fantasy setting entirely in place for the very real 15th century Bohemia, and there's a reason for that. In PC Gamer issue 402, good for them, man. Vavra spoke openly about their frustrations that ultimately led to KCD. Quote, generally I was pissed at a lot by the fact that there are no historical video games at all, end quote, he began, and quote, and there's no reason for that, because in movies and books and everything, they're very popular, and that was the kind of conservatism in the game industry. When you proposed it, everybody would say, it's weird, there are no monsters. I was like, there are no monsters in Call of Duty as well, end quote. Fair enough. For Vavra, there was a clear gap in the market, and one he was all too willing to fill. Quote, in my idea, there's a hole in the market, was true though, and when people saw it, a lot of them immediately knew that this was something that works, end quote, he explained. Michael, the game works for me, dude. Like, I was pumped when I saw that. Hey, we're getting away from monsters. It's almost refreshing in a sense to think about. And then on top of that, we get into the game. Dude, the combat for me just kind of put me off, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward to Kingdom Come 2, which is not that far away.
No, I'm excited. I never hopped into the first Kingdom Come Deliverance. It was one of those where I heard about it from afar. Just never really had the time for it. So I'm excited for the second one. But I think he really hit the nail on the head, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of games were like, all right, let's do something historic. Let's do something medieval. And then I was like, well, what if we put this monster? What if we put a vampire in? What if we put this in? And then all of a sudden you stray away from it, but everything else has monsters. So I think he totally is right. I love the setting. I love the fact that it's more realistic, right? It is kind of crazy to think that it at least in terms of popular video games, I know they've kind of gotten away with this, but Call of Duty is almost like the most historically like accurate game in terms of at least of the campaign, right? For a while there, it was like, all right, you're gonna go relive World War II. All right, you're gonna go relive the Cold War. All right, you're gonna go relive Desert Storm, whatever. Obviously, there were some changes. There's not zombies back in World War II. I understand that, but it is kind of funny to think about it. But yeah, this game is awesome. As he said, books and movies, you know, you'd love to go back to medieval times. I can't wait for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And hey, if the combat's clunky, right, he can just say, look, I know combat was easy back in the 1500s. So, you know, you just got to get used to fighting this massive amount of armor, Drew.
No, for sure, right? It is refreshing to me. I think Kingdom Come is kind of the opposite of the Witcher series. I think that's basically what it comes down to, right? You're playing the Witcher-esque experience, but in a more realistic setting where there aren't any monsters. Instead, you're dealing with bandits, you're dealing with thieves, you're dealing with the kingdom and all this other stuff that kind of portrays throughout the story. And it's very, very cool. They are working heavily on the combat because they have heard the frustrations of people getting into the first one going, this combat just doesn't work for me, right? It kind of reminds me of For Honor, if you've ever played that game, right? So you got to be able to parry on the one side or counter on that side, or then switch over and then try to then attack on this. Oh man, it was just, but if you're in on it, which was so disappointing because the minute I lost that part, dude, I just couldn't get into the rest of the story, right? But there's so much to discover and explore. Very, very exciting if you can get through the combat. I think eventually it'll click, but I just didn't give it enough time. Maybe it's time to go back. I haven't tried it in a long time, so maybe get ready for Kingdom Come 2, but the size of Kingdom Come 2, dude, it's gonna be absolutely huge. So I don't want to get overdone. Just kind of like something else is coming up shortly in today's show.